It is officially WrestleMania week, and I think we're going to see a lot of surprises this weekend. I mean, as you know, anything could happen in the WWE. Yeah, I'd give that like a 4 out of 10. But who knows? Maybe Lita will make an appearance. I actually asked her about that during this conversation, and it's such a good conversation. I'll be in Dallas for the next few days, so if you're going, I would love to see you there. When you're traveling, and you know this, public Wi-Fi is notorious for being a hotbed for hackers to jump in there and steal your data. By using NordVPN, it protects me and gives me peace of mind when I'm traveling and when I'm uploading videos like this. It is incredibly easy to use, whether it's on your phone or your computer, and it is FAST fast. It also allows you to access content from 59 different countries by changing your virtual location with just one click. So speaking of travel, I just booked a flight home to Toronto, and there's a certain show on a certain streaming network, I won't say which one, that I love to watch with my family that is not available in Canada. And that's where NordVPN comes to the rescue. Log in, change my virtual location, bada bing, bada boom, we're watching the show just like we're right here. So I am pumped about this. I've teamed up with NordVPN in this video to show you just how good it is. Go to nordvpn.com/CVV or just use the code CVV and you'll get a huge discount off your NordVPN plan, plus free threat protection, plus one additional month for free. Also, Nord has a 30-day money-back guarantee, so if you decide it's not for you, that is okay. Just head to nordvpn.com/CVV to take advantage of that offer, but you better do it soon because this is a limited time deal only. NordVPN.com or just use that code CVV. Actually, I want to ask you, is that a llama behind you?
Yeah. There's a llama and then some sloths. My brother.
Oh, this is and Pac-Man above you.
Yeah.
Look at this wonderful decor.
Yeah, my brother got that. My brother got me the llama and I loved it. And then they, from the same artist, got me the sloths another year.
But what's hanging over your shoulder here?
This?
Yeah.
This is just like an air plant and a piece of driftwood.
It's a driftwood. Okay.
And I found
Wow.
starfish on the beach.
Oh,
Look how cute it is.
That is so cute.
So
Look at that little guy.
So NorCal.
Thank you so much for hanging out with us.
Yeah, I'm happy to. I've seen your stuff and I was like, no, I'd like to talk to you. I just want something to talk about first.
Well, now there's a lot to talk about, right?
Lots. Yeah, I had to do it up before I met you.
Did you think that you would be back in WWE?
Nope.
Huh.
Nope.
So how did this all come together?
So, I mean, Rumble's fun, right?
Sure.
Undeniable. Watching it, being in it, so I did the first one and, it was monumental. It was historic. I had to be part of it, but I was asked 24 hours in advance and I had not been training and I had to take a red eye, spend all day in medical, getting cleared. And the first time I touched a ring since the last time, whenever you guys saw me touch a ring, was the last time I had touched a ring. So, I was nervous in all the wrong ways. And I was still glad that I did it. There was only going to be one first Rumble. I was still happy to see all of the women. And I ultimately had a good time in my experience. But I was when they called me this year, I was like, yeah, I want to redo, so I had proper heads up and I had been training. And so that was my motivation, was just it's fun. I want to see my girlfriends. And this time I want to feel good, nervous going into it. And I did. And I was happy with that was all. I'm and that wasn't all.
Well, so were you training just for fun? You were just in the ring just because?
Well, so they gave me 6 weeks heads up to
but before that, were you in the ring before that?
No one goes in the ring
Okay.
for fun. No, Natty goes in the ring for fun. Everyone else is training for something. But in the meantime, so my pandemic thing is I started doing Twitch and I met a bunch of people through there and some Bay Area people. And so there is a drag queen, Pollo Del Mar, that has been in the wrestling scene here. And it turns out is a neighbor, only lives a couple miles from me. So we connected And then they connected me with Dark Chic, and she came up with Hood Slam. Hood Slam's like a Bay Area wrestling for misfits, right? And like with no boundaries on it. Sometimes it's karaoke, sometimes it's a party, sometimes, and so I was able to, I had a crew, and I was able to go train with them for the Rumble. So in that 6 weeks, not only was I intensifying my gym training, I was in the ring, but also in the ring having fun and going, oh yeah, like it's fun to be in here. And also I remember this stuff. So I went into the Rumble feeling pretty good.
You also look like you had wrestled like yesterday. Like you looked it was like riding a bike, I guess.
It really did feel like that, and I didn't know how it looked. I was like, this feels fine, and I don't watch my stuff back. So I only just saw like clips from Twitter and stuff. And I was like, okay, it looks in the realm of what I did. So I'll leave it at that.
But this was supposed to just be the one-off Rumble appearance, and that was that?
Yeah, and I was happy for it. I was like, great, stop back and see old friends. And then as I was coming out of gorilla position, literally like WWE 24 was following me around doing episode. They were there just as I came out through the curtain, and there's Johnny Ace. And he was like, what do you think about wrestling Becky? And I was like, yeah, we've been trying to like we've been like fantasy booking that for kind of years. And I think she was more serious than I was. I was like, yeah, this is like a fun thing that we talk about sometimes. And then, so I felt like there was no way I could have said no to that. Even though it was 3 weeks from the moment he asked me, I would have liked 3 months from the moment he asked me, like gearing up from like, yeah, it's fun to see my old girlfriends to like, oh, a title match, singles match.
On the other side of the planet.
2 totally different like training, but like opportunity, you just take the opportunities when they're there, right? Like the media like thing I thought about was like, like people that I like, friends that I have that wanted kids are like, well, first we're going to save this much money, then we're going to do this, then we're going to buy that house, and then we're going to have children, and like a year later they're pregnant, and they're not like, no, I'm not going to take this, this is what's happening now. And so it's like, you just go with what's in front of you.
But I would imagine though that you had a bunch of stuff that was already planned out, like in, your quote unquote regular life, that you had to then put on hold for the match with Becky.
For sure. Because I mean, even just leading up to Rumble, like my regular schedule has been pretty flexible and Zoom oriented, and, just like a lot easier to work around than like, oh yeah, you're going to be schlepping across the country. And so it's like, yeah, it's not just TVs, but it's by the time I get there and back, like it felt pretty full time. But because it was so short, I really felt like I could just pull all of the good and let any of the delayed connecting flights or like, wait, I'm in Omaha, I'm in a blizzard. This is not why I moved to California, like that type of stuff. It's like, yep, just like roll with it. If that was my life grinding, for years, I'd be like, I cannot go to Omaha to get, like, no offense to Omaha. There's actually one of my favorite restaurants there. But, it was just, I don't know, I just felt like novel and just like, all right, we're doing this thing. And I felt similar to when I decided I was going to be a wrestler, like almost saying it out loud, like, forever. If people like, are you in a band, or why are they taking your picture? I'm just like, I don't know. I guess they like my jacket, or so, like I'm just kind of like downplaying it. And now I'm just like at the corner store, like, did you know I'm going to wrestle a women's championship? Like, it's like, it's the same as like when I was like, I'm going to be a wrestler, right? Like I'm saying it out loud because for my benefit. So it's like, I found myself doing that where somebody was like, oh, why are those cameras there? When WWE came to like follow me for training, and WWE camera crew was used to us like downplaying every, like nobody really wants to talk about it. And I was like, because I'm going to wrestle a big match in Saudi Arabia, and it was like, who is this person talking? Because it was like, say it out loud enough times. This is happening. Yeah. Get used to like let it sink in that it's
And
happening.
you're also holding yourself accountable to it, like, because you're
Yes.
putting it out there.
Yes.
And you have to live up to that standard.
That's a thing I've always done. And I didn't think of it that way, but like, I'll keep things to myself. But once I feel like I'm going to do something, I tell everyone, and it's to hold myself accountable so that when I see that person in 3 months, they're like, whatever happened to that thing? And I'm like, in fact, it's right here, you know, like, oh, well, you know, I was just talking a bunch of shit, you know, like.
So now that you're back and you're feeling good, like, is WrestleMania on your radar?
You know, it's not on my radar because I just know how everything there, and nothing's changed, by the way, from when I left and when I got there. It was like, oh, things happen last minute. Plans are changing at all times. So, you know, I will be there if nothing less than to watch it. But yeah, you know, and maybe it's like, I don't know, am I scouting? Am I looking at like different match possibilities and combinations? I just feel, you know, kind of more connected to them than I did before. I mean, we've all talked about like, kind of sometimes you have to go outside the bubble and be like, I can't, you know, I need to just do my own thing and not worry about what's going on over there. And, you know, I felt like that's what I was doing when these opportunities just fell in my lap. You know, I wasn't gunning for a spot. I wasn't booking, you know, things in my head or trying to, you know, come up with these match possibilities, and they just fell in my lap. But it was really inspiring, like just being able to sit down and talk with all of the girls that are there, and they're so excited because they know they're in the beginning of their career, and just how many possibilities there are now. You know, I feel really good and proud if I had my last match just now.
Wow.
But I also feel like, okay, that went pretty good.
Do you feel like in a way you now have a chance to kind of rewrite the history of like your exit from WWE?
Yeah, totally. Totally. You know, I'd had these like one-off appearances since I left my active career, but nothing that was like meaningful enough that felt like, oh, that was the last thing, or this is how people will remember me. It was just like, oh, like a fun thing with Heath Slater or the Evolution, like, but it was just like this opener tag match, and, you know, things like, you know, I'd had fun spots.
Yeah.
Since, retiring, but nothing that felt big, you know, but I'd already done the big stuff. So it's not that I was looking for that, but this just felt very different.
Yeah. When you went backstage, how many people came up to you and said, "You're the reason I'm wrestling right now. You inspired me so much"?
Yeah. So many. And it just kind of, it was like, it really felt like poetry in the way that I was coming back with Becky, who has said that, you know, I inspired her on her path, but then all these other women that were saying the same thing. But because I was like not ever 100% confident, I felt pretty okay going into it. But their like compliments towards me, wanting to talk to me, them saying, I'm so excited to see your match, like this is going to be great, and like them, like they were inspiring me to have that match. And so I loved that, you know, and I loved telling them that, like, you guys were like making me feel better walking out through the curtain each time and leading up to this match. And like, thank you guys for doing that for me.
You obviously broke a ton of barriers, right? But I'm so curious to know, what was the first one? What was the first one where you kind of went, oh, what I'm doing here feels special?
I think it was, it gets replayed pretty often, but it was with me and the Hardys versus Test and Albert and Trish. And it's like, I was just kicking those dudes' asses. Like, I had no business doing, you know, like these like 6'5" people, you know, and I'm like hurricanrunning Test and jumping to the outside on Albert, and just it felt like, wow, this excitement with a woman being physical hasn't happened before in WWE.
I remember when you debuted with Essa Rios, and it was like the idea that Essa Rios did his moonsault, and then you did a moonsault, and I was like, what is going on here?
As I was just telling the Tess and Albert story, I was like, actually, the very first time we debuted, I did feel something special because I felt the crowd they're like, oh, cool, there's 2 new people debuting, and we just kind of had a fun dynamic between the 2 of us. And they were fine with that being the end of the match. They're like, cool, right, there's new people. And they're like, wait, what? So I remember even feeling that very first reaction that I was like, oh, I think we might have something special here.
How long between that match happening, that debut match, and you getting the name Lita? Like, what was the time frame on that?
Like five days or something
okay,
like
you can
that.
say 5 minutes. Like, yeah, you're Lita, go.
No, after 5 days.
5 days after.
Because we were not supposed to debut. It was going to be Christian who was going to take the light heavyweight title off of Gilbert, but then he was doing something with the Brood, and they kind of wanted to keep things separate. So they were like, I don't know, get these 2 kids out there, like, and so it was, like 4:00 that afternoon. They're like, tonight's the night you guys are starting. We had been doing dark matches every night, like every week. We were just flying to TV and doing dark matches, getting ready. But I wasn't mimicking. I would just do a spot in his match, or something like that. But it would be something, bigger, but it wasn't the mimicking thing. And they told us that around 4:00, and it was for Heat, which taped on Monday, but didn't air till Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
So they said, that's all we know. We'll figure everything out. We don't know your names. We don't know if you guys are like brother, sister, boyfriend, girlfriend. We don't know any of that stuff. Just go out there and we'll figure it out. And so, yeah, I found my name out on Sunday Night Heat live. I think someone from the office called me and said, I think your name is Lita. And it sounded terrible to me because I was like, it's a name I hadn't heard. And I was like, again, I don't know what name would have sounded right because it's like I'd only been one name until that point. And I was like, oh, that's weird. They're like, I don't know. I don't know. We'll see when it airs. And then they said it. They're like, sure enough, they're like Essa Rios and Lita. And I was like, all right. I remember it taking me a while to turn my head when people would be like, Lita. And I'm like, oh, right. Me, Lita. Yes. Hi.
And now I imagine more people call you Lita than they call you Amy.
And it sounds the exact same to me. Whether someone's saying Amy or Lita, I'm just like, yep, that's me.
What is Machete Girl?
Okay. So Machete Girl.
Oh, we got to take a sip of coffee for this story.
So once I retired, I was looking for my next adventure. I decided to explore Nicaragua, and I bought a place down there. And so that was like my next. I spent about half the year down there for about good 5-6 years, and it's just Wild West down there. I met so many friends, and my lifestyle, it's like I'm riding my bike to the market and surfing in the afternoon. But so you can just walk in there, like people are normally, they're doing it because their job, right? But they'll just have a machete on their hip. And I'm like, because they're like using it for work, right? But I'm like, oh my God, that's so cool. They have just like a machete, just whatever, walking into the corner store with a machete. And they're like, yeah, Nicaragua, man, you do it, do whatever. And I was like, I'm going to walk around with a machete on my hip. So no one really knew, like no one knew Lita, like no one knew who I was down there, but I was the white girl with the dog with the machete on my hip. So they called me Machete Girl. And I was taking all these cool pictures on my phone, and I was kind of off social media in general, but I was like, well, I don't care if I'll make it public and I don't care who sees it, but I'm just going to be like Machete Girl. If you know that you're following Lita's account, that's fine. If not, I don't care, but I'm seeing all this cool stuff. So if you're like scroll all the way back to the beginning of my Instagram, it's all Nicaragua pictures, and the locals there were calling me Machete Girl.
Man, what's so interesting about you is you've spent like pretty much your entire adult life as this other character, as Lita. Mm-hmm. Who was Amy before Lita?
So that is what, like, when I retired, it was like the active reinvention of Amy. It's like, okay, Lita's going to be on pause and take a big old nap. So figure out who you are. I remember in interviews, like if I had an interview coming up when I was actively wrestling, they, you eventually get to the point where they're like, so what do you do when you're not wrestling? What are your interests? What do you like? And I would remember thinking I had to make stuff up because I'm like, it sounds boring to be like, or I'd say something that I did like prior to, like, in theory, I would do these things, but I'm eat, sleeping, breathing, wrestling. I'm doing promotion. I'm doing my laundry if I am not, or I'm in a ring. Like, that's what my life is. But I'm like, that doesn't sound cool in an interview. So I would literally make stuff up. And so I was like, okay, now that you're not making things up, what do you want to do? Who is Lita? And I mean, I think the thing was like, I love the aspect of never having 2 days the same. Like when I'm WWE and life on the road and I like not knowing what my day holds. I like getting outside my comfort zone. And I always continue to push myself to do that. And so, yeah, I decided to go explore around Latin America. I wanted to get a investment property / second home / I don't know, like hut somewhere. And, it just turned out in Nicaragua. I wanted to be able to continue practicing my Spanish and meet some people, and I wanted to surf, and that checked a bunch of the boxes.
So when you leave WWE, like life just comes to a screeching halt because you've been on the road like crazy year after year. Do you kind of go, wait a second, I can do whatever I want now? Yes.
And it was a little overwhelming. I remember waking up from like a big, like 2-day nap, after flying home after my retirement match, and then being like, okay, so what now? And I remember having that feeling of taking my dog for a walk, being like, you could take the longest walk you want right now. Like, you are not getting back for an interview. Like, you're not having to switch your laundry from the washer to the dryer. Wow, this is really weird. So I had already started my band at that time, and that was like something for me to do, but it just didn't have that like rat race, like like go kind of feel.
But it was a creative outlet still.
Yeah. And so I did feel like I kind of was like piecing together the elements that I got from wrestling. I was hosting a radio show on the rock station in Atlanta. I hooked up with this theater group. We were doing this kind of like improv theater once a month. And then I had my band. And so I kind of felt like you had the live crowd aspect. I had the put together, like for the show, I would do bullet points. It was like similar to a match where I'm like, okay, I know where I'm going, but we'll see what happens along the way. I kind of just had some things that all stoked that same fire. And yeah, I don't know. I think I'm just kind of a pirate for life, really, is the bottom line.
Did you have a moment in WWE where you were like, I just don't want to be here anymore?
Yeah, it was like, I think I don't want to be here. And it was at the time that my contract maybe had, I don't know, whenever they start talking to you, a year out, 6 months, 8 months out, whatever it was. And I just remember like not being as excited when my music would hit. And just being like, that's my music, and just like, I think that means it's time to go to work, and like walking out and even probably being on the ramp going, that was a weird feeling. That's not how it's supposed to feel. That's not why you do this. And I never want to punch a clock, and that felt like punching, like at that moment felt like punching a clock. And so I remember at that point asking, I was like, take me off the live events for a while. I need to figure this out, because, they started asking with contract negotiations, like, well, what would you want, like financially? And I was like, that's not even how I want to think about this. I just want to think about if I want to be here, and we can work out whatever else after that. So if you could just take me off the live events, let me just think about it. And I just remember not missing it, and it feeling more right, and just kind of having this perspective of like, man, I've done more than I ever thought I would do in my career, just like maybe it's time, maybe that's the time to get out. And I didn't feel fear. I was like, I'm okay if I fall on my face on whatever this next chapter looks like. But meanwhile, like there's no, I had to make up hobbies, like that's how in it I was to, and it takes 100% of your time and energy, even if you're not actively there, your brain is there, you're preparing to be there, and I was like, I kind of was like missing out. Like my friends were having kids and getting married, and I wasn't at any of the baby showers or any of the weddings or anything. Cause either I was on the road or I stopped getting the invitations because they're like, I'm sure she's out of town. Like it's cool,
did you have a match in mind of how you wanted it to end? Cause I can't imagine that the way that it did end for you was exactly how you wanted it to go.
I mean, I was happy to work Mickie James, but in my mind, it was a good long match, and we hug at the end of it, and I, here's the title. I see that it's in good hands, and I'm out of here, and it was like, it just hurt my feelings, and I was very vocal about it. I went to my producer that day. I went to the head writer. I went to Vince. I went back to my producer. I went back to the writer, back to Vince, being like, is there any way we can not do this? Can we just do this in a pre-tape later? Like, can I just have this match? And, the answer was just, you're a heel. This is what we're doing. You're deemed to somebody that we're going to put, that we want to boost up. And that's what you do when you leave. And then, and I was like, what did I do? What did I do to have this ending? And they're like, you're looking at it wrong. It's business. You're a heel. That's what needs to happen. And I remember saying, all right, well, this is the last time you get to pull my strings. So I guess you're pulling them hard. I'll go out there and I'll do business because I'm a professional, but, I want you to know this hurts my feelings. And, I know this is business you're telling me, which doesn't involve feelings, but I want you to know, as somebody who broke my neck for the business and who has given everything, and this hurts my feelings.
Was this just a product of the time? Because women's wrestling didn't get to the level where it's at now at that point?
Yeah. I mean, and I think that's honestly, especially now with perspective, right? That's what I chalked it up to. It's like, that's where we were then. And it really was like not given a lot of thought, it was like, oh, here's like a thing that could just like stoke crime time for 5 minutes, whatever, like it just wasn't given a lot of thought to it. And then, now we're here, so.
I remember watching that crime time segment and going, what? Like this? Like, it just felt like I was insulted as a fan.
Yeah, it was one of those things that was always so hard. I'd get asked about it either by fans or in interviews or whatever, and it was like hard because it's like, you're trying to like air your dirty laundry or go on these rants or even just like carry negative energy with you actively. Right. But it wasn't a thing that I could be like, come up with some way to spin to be like, it's great. It was hilarious. I thought it, and I was just like, yeah, it's a bummer, like, and then they would keep talking about it, be like, yeah, kind of like, I'm not going to pile on, but I hear you.
Yeah. When you think of Lita, what's the pinnacle of your career?
God, that's really hard because I feel like there's so many like, it's like I felt like I was almost getting there, and then my neck broke in 2002. My neck didn't break; it was broken for me on my behalf. It was broken, and then
Did you know it was broken immediately?
No, I knew something was terribly wrong
because you were in a lot of pain.
Yeah, and I couldn't move, but I thought it was honestly my collarbone because my arm wouldn't move. But so that I was getting crazy momentum right then. And then I was sidelined. And then I was feeling in a really, really good pocket too, right when I tore everything in my knee. And I was out again for another like I wasn't fully out. I just been wrestled for, like 6-7 months. They brought me back out on crutches and carted me out there, but I couldn't be in the ring doing what I was feeling really good about at that time, and just feeling like in a really good pocket that I like switching, just like working, being like, throw it at me, change my time, do whatever. Like, I can adjust because I figured it out.
Yeah. So that's the moment you think of, like where you could have gone if you hadn't broken your neck.
Yeah. Both separate times. It's like I felt like in a really great pocket, and then was yanked by injuries.
Like, but it seems pretty obvious now with the work you've most recently done that you could still go. Like, and I feel like you have another 2, 3, 5 years in you if you want to.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Like, I think it's been cool. Like, it was inspiring seeing Edge come back after all of the, not only his neck, but then coming back and being, and like, yeah, obviously he can still go and knows how to engage with the crowd and evoke the reactions that you want. And so I think it's like, it's tempting, but at the same time, it's like, I don't know. I really do feel conflicted, and like, that was really great. I'm really proud of what I did with Becky. So I'm like, okay, cool. Get out while the getting's good. Like, did that, everything's fine, but then there is that thing to go, well, if that was fine, how much better could it be if you really did have, more time to train and all of that. I think that because I'm pretty just grounded in where I am in life. Yeah. And it's like, if the opportunity falls in my lap again, as it did, like, I just feel like I don't want to force anything, because then you have this preconceived notion and you have expectations, and I didn't have any. And I think that's what made it all so beautiful and feel so fulfilling. And it's like, if I'm like, yeah, like, I'm going to set out to have this last run, I don't know. It's like, I don't know. It might happen. Maybe somebody calls me out on TV and maybe I answer,
Well, and you're already in the Hall of Fame, so it's not like that carrot's being dangled. Like, you're already in.
Yeah. I was talking with Vince about this whole last run, and I was like, it just felt really fun to go out there and do, because it didn't feel like there were any stakes. It's like, I've already got the ring. This is just, a cherry on top. And I felt that I could really be in the moment out there and really enjoy it, which was really nice, because I don't feel like I soaked that in a lot, because things were so busy, or I was distracted, and so that was really nice with this match. And I just felt like I could really be in the moment. And I don't mean the match, like from the moment I was asked to be in it to the moment I got back on the plane to fly home, just really could be thankful for it and take in going, wow, this is such a crazy experience. This is like, I'm so fortunate to be here. And it just felt really nice.
Who was the biggest mentor for you in your WWE career?
I think that, like, I've, like, leading up to it, and then I've always just been like, get everything from anyone that you can, like, soak in the knowledge from anywhere you can. I would say that I was really fortunate in both the relationships I was in with. Matt Hardy was very instrumental in helping me. Like, if I had questions about match, it was me, Matt, and Jeff. When we were in the car, it was like, we might turn the radio up to sing to a song for a minute, and we turn it back down, and then we're right back talking about wrestling, And so that was really great. It was like we were having a brainstorming session on the road the whole time. And then same with Edge, like, we had a really great, like, a portion of our relationship was like talking about the business, and I think with us, it was a little different. It was lesser than, because we were kind of in later stages of our careers at that point, but he's very analytical, very smart about the business. And I always felt like any advice that he had was, I could trust.
And I feel like people always talk about this with Vince as well. Like Vince is just a genius and has so much great advice. Is there one particular piece of advice that you plucked from him that you use all the time?
I mean, I think it's just as basic as, he's like, a star is made like right here, right? And so it's not, no matter how like spectacular your flips are or whatever, it's about making moments and making me care with your face, like showing me you're in pain, showing me you're stoked, showing me you're mad, and we definitely, like, I go back to that every time. And I remember when I was producing with the women constantly, because they're trying to prove themselves and show how athletic they are. But I'm like, I need some time to breathe, and I need those moments. I need to see that you're struggling, or that, all of these things. And like, how many, like, we've talked about it, right? Like, what's your WrestleMania moment? They don't say what's your WrestleMania match. Like, it's a moment. It's like one thing, like Stephanie's highlight reel or slaps. It's like one moment, right? And I think those are so cool.
Yeah. I feel like you were so close to being in AEW last year. How close were you really?
I was thinking about it. I was watching all the time, and I was watching Britt Baker ascend, and I was watching the crowd really attached to her, and they lobbed it up to work with her. And as I was seeing their AEW in general grow, I was like, Britt was at a point that I was like, need to have a big moment with somebody bigger than her. And her and Thunder Rosa and Nyla Rose and Ruby Soho later, but like, can have these matches and elevate each other slowly. But if there was somebody big that could come in, like Sting did with Darby Allin, or, that's where you can catapult somebody. So it did seem exciting. But at the same time, it's like, their roster had a long way to grow, and they're still kind of getting their feet under them about how they want to present as a company. And then around that same time, WWE is talking to them, and just knowing how deep their roster already is, it just seemed like more possibilities and a better fit. Not to mention, like, it is home for me, right?
Well,
like,
yeah, and all the history
since I was a
right?
kid. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was like, I wasn't thinking about either company when I was, when I was first approached. And then Cody had reached out, and I was like, well, let me like watch the program more from a aspect of maybe being there and seeing how I could fit in, besides just like catching it when I catch it. And so, yeah, of course I started brainstorming and thinking about the possibilities. But then on the flip side, when I'm talking about WWE, I was just like, oh, it's just right there for the taking, and just seemed to be the better fit. Plus, like I never met Britt. Like, Becky is like a close friend of mine, and so to be able to have that the possibility of that match, we just really wanted to. I didn't think it could ever happen, and so to be able to have that, it was really special.
We talked earlier about how, you were Lita for so long, and then you had to relearn kind of to become Amy again. Did you have to like reintroduce yourself back to Lita over these last handful of weeks or months?
Oh yeah. And I just felt like I was like, oh, there she is. Like, like as it was over, like my last TV and the match, I was like, all right, now I remember like this, because I'm very, in my regular life, like understated and humble and just, kind of quiet even. And so, and just to be that larger than life. And it definitely felt like I was playing a role at first. Like, I remember how to say these words and how to hold my shoulders back and all of that stuff. So that's what I'll do. But then as we moved in towards the end of it, I was like, actually feeling it.
Did you always want to be a wrestler? Was that the dream as a kid growing up?
No, I wanted to be a marine biologist. I was like obsessed with Jacques Cousteau as a kid. obsessed. Every, like in a book report or something, like they kind of leave it open enough so that you can like massage it into who you want.
Mm-hmm.
Every book report, and that part of this was also lazy because I was like, I already know a lot about this person. It would be Jacques Cousteau and Nelson Mandela. I did like, I did so many like presentations on them. It wasn't until like in my early 20s, like, I mean, it kind of from the moment I decided I want to be a wrestler till I had a contract at WWE was a pretty, maybe three years or so. But I was taking judo and Muay Thai kickboxing, but I got super into judo and I was competing on the East Coast and I was playing in bands just for fun, you know, and when I didn't grow up with wrestling in my household or anything. And so, but it was my boyfriend at the time's dude thing, don't talk to me. I got my wrestling shows on, but as I'd pop my head in there, I found myself lingering and going, oh, this is, but I immediately was thinking, these dudes have a cool job, you know, not like, and so I started looking at it like, I want a cool job too. You know, they get to do judo and be in a band at the same time because they're rock stars and athletes in one profession, and started holding myself accountable and just saying out loud, I'm going to do that. Not knowing the first thing about how I was going to do that, but I was going to do it.
I can't picture you as a marine biologist.
I love the ocean though. I think that's okay. If you take away like the lab coat and like the microscope and the glasses,
yeah,
and think more like the wetsuit and the fins and like the field. Think of like a field marine biologist.
Like Ocean Ramsey. Do you know who I'm talking about?
I don't.
You will look her up after and go, that's exactly what I was going to be.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, the ocean is my, if I need to level out, if I need to feel appreciative, if I need to feel something is bigger than me, I go to the ocean and there it is. Like,
do you live really close to the ocean?
Yeah. I take my scooter over there to the ocean.
It's that close. Wow.
Yeah.
Because I tell people I live close to the ocean, but it's like a 9-minute drive.
That's close.
Yeah. You're way closer. I have to like worry about parking when I get there and the whole thing.
The scooter's a game changer, dude. I'm telling you, the scooter is a game changer. Like a Vespa, throw that thing on the sidewalk, run in there, do your thing. It's just, you'll think of me. If you ever switch gears, do this. It is a game changer.
Okay. All right.
Think about just alone the time you have to look for parking. Number one. Number two, lane splitting is legal in California.
Yes.
Traffic, dead stop, boom, there you are.
Yeah, it's like time travel.
It's just
everybody's going 2 miles an hour and you're going 30 or 40 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Huh. As we wrap this up, I've always been curious. What was your first tattoo?
My first tattoo says iconoclast in Cyrillic, because it was when everybody was getting like kanji on them, like Japanese characters on them. And I wanted a word, but I didn't want you to be able to see iconoclast. I didn't want to be asked daily what it meant. So I got it in Cyrillic, which is the breaker of traditional icons. So
where is it?
It's on the back of my neck right here. So it's kind of my mantra all the way back. I mean, I got it right when I turned 18, you know, so I was young, destined to be the breaker of traditional icons.
I love that. And I mean, you basically spoke this into existence.
Yeah.
This is a theme of your life, Amy.
I love a full circle moment. I love some some poetry thrown in my life. And I love not looking for parking spaces.
Oh, I'm with you on all of those. This is amazing. What does your daily life look like? Because I feel like it's very juxtaposed of like the lights and the loud music and the, you know, acrobatics of wrestling. What's the other part of your life look like?
Yeah. So since pandemic, especially, like I cook a lot, I'm in my garden and I'm at the beach a lot, I mean, in NorCal Beach is different than, like Baywatch, so it's more just
Yeah.
like walking on the beach, sticking my feet in, or I'll, strap on, put a wetsuit on and go boogie boarding or surfing.
That's
But
a
yeah,
thing. Walking on the beach, it's grounding, right?
yes.
What is it? It aligns the magnets, right?
Yeah, you got to take your shoes off. If you're ever at the
Yes.
beach, whoever just like doesn't take their shoes off, you're missing out. Just touch the earth.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not trying to get into any sort of chakra scenario, but like just you'll feel better about it. You're missing an opportunity if you don't take your shoes off.
I have loved this conversation, and like, thank you so much for making the time to do this.
Yeah, for sure.
I end every conversation with the same question because I love gratitude, and you spoke about it earlier. But what are the 3 things in your life that you're grateful for right now?
Wow. Number one, if I could go on a tangent on this, I will end up in tears, but it is my 19-year-old dog who is by my side at all times, snoring just off camera. Just, I couldn't feel a love, like strong feel for her. And
what's her name?
Mackenzie, but she goes by the Kens, like The Rock. She's the Kens. Yeah. I would say, I could be specific to the ocean because like nature in general, but the ocean is, I am grateful for how it makes me feel, what it has the power to do and what it does to contribute to the earth. And the third is, I would say, I don't want to single out a person, but like the close friends I have that I trust with my life. Like it means everything knowing I have not just one, but like a handful of people I could call at any time and tell them anything, and they're not going to love me any less.
That's amazing. All 3 of those are great. You are a legend in the ring. You are a legend in life. So Amy, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.